Take that evil overlord. Take that. No, no, what the? Well, I guess that didn't go well, did it? Hello, everyone, and welcome. Hopefully, you are here to save the land from evils. Because, I mean, the Dark Lord's dead, but there's still things to be done, isn't there? Welcome today to Hero Must Die Again. This is a title that carries that strange title of being called a anti-RPG. A title you might sound familiar if you've played Moon or Undertale. Unlike Undertale and Moon, well, Moon's a point-and-click game with the setting of a RPG aesthetic from an NPC point of view, and Undertale using the aesthetics of many of the menus in the overworld and battle system, but being a shmup in disguise. This actually has way more actual RPG mechanics to it, but even then, it's still more of a disguise than being a real RPG. Unlike the later two games, this game does play with RPG mechanics. There are random encounters, there are, well, I mean, technically, actually, you see the encounters on the map, but you get what I mean. You have turn-based combat, everyone has skills and levels and equipment, but it is on such a minor thing that's much more about being more of how should I say, something you have to deal with the overarching problem of the game, but I'm getting ahead of myself, so let's first start where it all begins. What the fuck is Hero Must Die Again? You play as a hero at the end of their journey, making the decision to have a one-on-one with the great evil, and you apparently succeed, but you die in the process of it. But oddly enough, you get revived! And you have absolutely no memory what the fuck's really going on. You remember defeating the evil lord and some other things, but you've forgotten other things like your true love's face and such. So, you're just kind of confused, I'm alive again shit, and you're just basically told you have 5 days to fuck around and either help the world or do whatever you want. We're not here holding your hands. And you can go out into the world and do as you desire. Do you want to run around town and never accomplish anything? You can do that. Do you want to fish all day? You can do that. Do you want to go and re-explore the world and understand what the hell is going on? You can do that. And obviously that's the main thing the game wants you to do, obviously. But there are side things you can do. Now this game does have a little bit of the whole harem side thing going with it, as many of your party members are attractive females who you may or may not be able to get with. So you do have the whole waifu thing, though there are 2 male party members who can join you as well. Your faithful mage, Thomas, who is there at the beginning, and a former ally who has more of a grudge against you, who, if you do the right things, can also land back in your party. Now, this is a 4-party system, so once you have 4 party members, you have to boot someone out if you want someone else to join, and that will happen occasionally if you are able to accomplish a lot of things. Now, time moves as you're on the field, going through combat, going through story events, so time keeps going forward. Basically, the only time doesn't really keep going is when you just sitting on the world map, basically. So, time will keep moving forward, staying at the end, resting randomly out in the wild. All of it will trigger time to go forward. So, you have limited time, you have 5 days. Now, you would think on that note it would be like a how should I say, a dead rising. Yeah, like, which dead am I trying to think of? Which, yeah, Dead Rising, yeah. But, yeah, you can think of Dead Rising being a example of what that gameplay is like. But on top of that, it's not so simple. So your hero starts out really powerful. They had saved the world before, after all, and they start out quite incredibly strong and everything. They have the skills to grill the evils within. Now, the thing with the main character versus everyone else. Now, as I said, the game has a very minor RPG thing. Characters can level up and stuff, but aside from one character who it's basically their entire existence is to start from level 1 and level up, all the other characters, I don't know, you might be lucky to see them level up once or twice through a playthrough of that, unless you extremely spend all your time just fighting everything. The main character, however, is in reverse of this. They don't progress, they digress. They become weaker. Over time, the hero will lose their maximum HP, their maximum MP, their strength, their stats, even their spells they have. And as that decreases, they will also lose out on being able to use equipment. They start out with the ultimate equipment, and as they decrease, they will become too heavy for them to continue usage, and you will have to downgrade your gear. So, in a strange twist, this game encourages you to actually buy weaker equipment and keep it on you for the sole purpose of replacing stronger gear on your main character, because they will grow weaker and incapable of using the stronger stuff. A very interesting mechanic, because a lot of times it's hard to give purpose to weaker equipment if it doesn't offer like an interesting status effect, or like being able to absorb or greatly deflect damage, or have elemental purposes. A lot of times it's harder to justify functionality of older equipment. So I find it very interesting the game gives you encouragement to actually buy weaker equipment. Because when you first start this, you might be like, well, all this equipment is worthless to the main character. Why do I want any of this shit? So, your main character will gradually become weaker, and it will be more important to have a party that will be able to support the main character. Because while in the early game, your hero can basically take on anything, basically, in the beginning of the game. By the end of it, they're going to be very hard to struggle to continue moving forward. So it is very good idea to try and get a good balance of your other three members to help prop up the inevitability of your hero not really contributing as much. Your hero will become more of an item usage kind of person, if that makes sense. So, and you do start with a shitload of gold too, which encourages you to actually buy lots of items to help fortify your health and your MP. I definitely recommend buy all the MP shit. Very recommended. Now, there isn't a crazy list of magic. I'd say magic is pretty stereotypical. Most of the characters represent an individual element. And one of the more useful spells, honestly, is a wormhole that will take you instantly to any of the town or villages, which is a great way to travel because it's instantaneous, it doesn't consume time. And getting any character that has wormhole is useful, because your main character won't be keeping it, so you only have access to it for a little while in the early stage of a playthrough. It will just gradually, fade away after that, so yeah. Now, on top of maintaining your character growing weaker, needing to keep your other party members tip-top, which you can find better gear for. And you can even customize some of them, like there's certain staves that do things like lower the amount of MP that cost, or do certain elemental absorb shit, so you can customize them in certain ways. Now, unlike the main character where you can freely change out your gear, your party members have a gift system. So if I want to give Thomas a new wad, I need to give it as a present, and he will not give me the previous one back. So you will be overriding that piece of equipment when giving them it as a present. So you need to keep that in mind. If there's anything you don't want to be thrown into the void, you need to be careful. Now, a lot of items can be purchased multiple times. Some of them can be found as drops. So, for a good chunk of items, you can, in theory, get multiple. But, obviously, with a clock against you, you want to be smart. Because the more time you waste doing things, the more horrific your journey is going to get. Now, as you go through these cycles, because you'll get through 5 days and you die, and I don't think it's actually possible to do this in one playthrough, because from what I understand, what's required to actually solve what's going on. So, with that, you will likely do a few cycles to try and solve all the problems. Now, I have noticed there are certain events that seem kind of like not guaranteed every cycle, so there's sometimes going to be always interesting things to see that might be different from another cycle. I do know from researching on some of the trophies that there is a point in time where a few things will be locked off from you from being able to experience. They don't stop you from getting the actual ending. They just stop a few events that you could see, and those are primarily the prison and wet eye events. I did not get to experience either of those two because I was pretty quick to actually trigger what allows you to actually figure out what's going on. So, but anyway, you'll wander the countryside. There's a few towns you can teleport to. The only one you can't use the wormhole thing is the elf village that's inside the forest. That one you have to get to the forest, which you can get easily from one of the two towns nearby. But, you'll have to wander in there to get to the elf village quickly, which is obviously a little bit sucky. But there are a lot of dungeons and side stuff to do and people to help in all the towns. You can even go to the final dungeon and go back there and find some interesting things that happen there. Primarily, you're going to find your time being consumed trying to complete tasks that will hopefully trigger events moving forward in the cycles. Now, there are a lot of additional things you can unlock, like special events, romancing the female characters, triggering additional quest lines with said characters. So there's a bunch of events you can experience with a lot of the characters. So I certainly have not met all of them. I actually even still have some monster entries missing too. So there's even a few monsters I didn't get to catch. But primarily you'll spend a cycle deciding where you want to go, what characters you want to try and get recruited into your party, and generally depending on your goal on the cycle, whether it be accomplish a certain character's like quest line or to actually get to the end, may depend on who you want. Because certain characters, like I said, some characters have wormhole permanently. That means they can get you around way faster, save time. Other characters might be better at killing shit. Certain characters are certain elements and are more appropriate for certain dungeons. So each cycle, you're likely going to want to go to different places with different people in mind for their advantages in the situations you're going to go through. But generally, you have to basically do a quest for each of the female party members to trigger the capability of seeking the end of the actual story of the game. So you'll be wanting to do tasks. Some tasks are more reasonable, other tasks can be a bit more time-consuming, and you will, again, like I said, sometimes there are things that don't always play out the same every cycle. Sometimes they'll tell you, like the wind orb, for example. One time I had to go to the final dungeon to actually get the wind orb. Another time she hid it in the forest that the elves live in. So there's no 100% consistency with certain things. Some things just play out differently in different cycles, so there can be some RNG luck on what particular tasks to do as well. Ultimately, I like the idea of this game. It is important to note that this isn't the original version of this game. This game existed originally as a mobile game, and it completely looked different. You can actually see some of the artwork from the mobile game in the Angel menu of this. Obviously, being a mobile game in Japanese, there isn't a lot of details on that. I will actually try to throw some stuff about that, hopefully, in the review of little tidbits, hopefully. But I have tried researching about before in the past. It's not super easy because, you know, like I said, it's a mobile game and it was Japan only. Which actually does bring into this game. This game was originally developed for the Vita and Limited One when it came out for the Switch and PS4 localized. Limited One took the opportunity to make a physical print one for both the Switch and PS4, and what you're seeing is the PS4 version. Honestly, I like the idea. It's kind of like the same idea with Dead Rising or Breath of Fire 5, where you have this looping system of needing to use things you learn through it. Now, obviously, Dead Rising's a lot less than that, because you can actually beat Dead Rising in one playthrough pretty reasonably. Breath of Fire 5, though, is more extreme in the fact that you're likely going to do a few loops before you do an actual end playthrough. I think I did about 7-ish loops, I think. I can't really remember off the top of my head. But I did get a fair number of interesting side things done. But there, like I said, there's still a number of side things I didn't get to do. So, actually, hell, someone actually asked me about one of those side things with one of the male party members in my Let's Play. One of the videos, I was like, yeah, sadly, I didn't do that, so I don't know the answer to your question, sadly. I did not encounter any problems with the game at all. It didn't crash. Didn't really encounter anything that was bizarre. So the game runs perfectly fine. Now, of course, comparing it to the mobile thing, it aesthetically, graphically, and everything's completely different. This is not a port of the mobile game. This is a completely new version. Now, how similar it is to the mobile version is what I'm going to actually try and research a little bit before I finalize this review. So if any of that ever gets discovered, I will likely insert that as little overlays in the video. If not, then I probably couldn't really find it too much from the English-speaking part of the world side of things of the internet. Aesthetically, though, I'm okay with the graphics, you know, for this version. Honestly, though, I'm really glad they didn't use the artwork for the mobile version, because let's just say almost every character radically looks nothing like how they do in this game. Like, everyone radically looks completely different. It's just kinda crazy. Not really a fan of the aesthetics of the original characters myself. Nothing against anyone who may be a big fan of the mobile version. But while on that note, like I said, keep in mind that this is a Vita build game, so being that they ported the game to consoles, you're not going to be getting giant high-res graphics. It is a simple idea and everything, but it all gets the point across. All the characters, I think, represent very nicely who they are and how they are and such. And, you know, like I said, if you're, like, into the whole waifu dating relationship kind of aspect, like I said, that's in this, where you can get into relationships with the different female party members and get jiggy with it if you know what you're doing, you know. And that leads to the endings of the cycles. There are different cycle endings because you only get to live for 5 days being revived. Your end is basically this big funeral, which all your choices, everything you did, will give you different endings that will tell you what happened to the countryside. Now, obviously, the good ending gives the good results of all this stuff, but all the non-good ending give you the funeral and give you different historical things about, like, all the Kaodos you met on that loop, saying they'll peace related to you, you know, be it friend, ally, pregnant with your child, you know. But you also get to learn the countryside's future and that, whether it gets to prosper, maybe barbarians came and took it over, maybe dwarves marched in and went, we don't like any of this, we'll tear it all down, or maybe mermaids came and made the lands prosperous and beautiful, because the legendary fishermen, who knows, only you can find out by, well, going through your 5 days and see what you accomplish in the world. Luckily, after a cycle, you're allowed to repeat the cycle, so you can just continuously keep doing the 5 cycle until you're satisfied with the results, or you get the true ending, where you find out what is going on and the hero must die. Only you get to choose that. Now, what would I say this game is valued? So I think it's a very interesting idea. I wouldn't go as far to say it's an RPG. It's more of an RPG than, like, obviously Moon, for sure. That one, like, the anti-RPG thing is a continuous thing that's starting to get used as a thing with some of these Bizarro-type games like this. But it is more of an RPG than Moon and Undertale is. It does have actual combat that uses RPG mechanics, but like I said, it's used more as a device, honestly, than being deep gameplay. Like, I feel like, honestly, from my perspective, the deeper gameplay is managing your time, going through the events, organizing your party, and, well, ultimately figuring everything out. I feel like that's the bigger aspect of the game, you get me? So, like, I would be a little hesitant to just use a normal, it's not a JRPG on this title. But it is a very interesting game that if you're into RPGs, I recommend checking out, because I just find the idea very interesting. It's in a very simple scale, but I think if you're really big in RPGs, it'll offer you something a bit different. Now, what would I recommend for this game, like, as a price? Now, digitally, it's on Steam, PlayStation Network, and the eShop. It goes for $39.99 digitally. Not a terrible price. Not a terrible price. It's a little bit tricky to nail down a recommendation on this one. I think when you consider that you have a decent amount of content, both side and getting the true ending. It's a okay-ish, like, it's not lavish AAA graphics and that, but it's all acceptable graphic musics and such. And like I said, it's not broken. Like, I did not experience any crashes or any super bizarro, like, what the fuck is going on kind of shit. Everything worked very well in that when I went through my playthrough in that. So I think the game is justifiable as a $40 game. I think it's a fair price. You get pretty good content in that. Now, of course, physical. You know, we appreciate physical, and you'll be happy to know, if you want to get this physical, that especially on PS4, you're going to have a much better price range than PSN. You can very easily find copies going for about $30 on eBay and such. You can maybe find a few a little under if you be a little patient, but price charting shows that it goes between like $27 to $40 depending on loose, quibbed, or sealed. Now, if you want the Switch version, which this is not a bad experience for mobile, not a bad experience. You just need to get to the world map and you can essentially save. So you can only save on the world map, which is not really hard to get to in most cases. It's pretty easy to, you know, get outside of a town or a dungeon for the most case. There are items you can use to also get the fuck out too. So, it's not really hard to get outside and save. So, you know, portability with this game's pretty fair. But that Switch version has that Switch taxes. You're going to pay between $40 to $60 depending on whether you want loose cribbed or brand new when it comes to the Switch. So you're definitely going to be paying more of a premium with that. But if you look around, maybe you can find a deal. Like right now there's one for $50, so you know, that's a little bit in the middle there. But yeah, you're going to likely have a little trouble there. Right now for PS4 there's one literally on eBay for $29.99. Does it have actually free shipping then? It has $4.43 shipping. That's not too terrible. They actually have 3 copies available, interestingly enough. But yeah, if you look around, you can probably find a nice deal with PS4. But it looks like for the Switch, you're going to be in a more harsher territory with that. Now, as I did say, this was originally a Vita title, and with that, you can get the Japanese version, which is an option in that front if you're interested or don't mind, or you can actually read Japanese. So, like, a Vita version on eBay seems to sell between $30 to $50. There's only a very handful of copies listed too. Interestingly, there's some art books here. The He Must Die official art book. Brand new. That's kind of interesting. It's using the artwork from this game, not the mobile game, though I imagine it probably has stuff from the mobile game. That's interesting. They had a official art book. There's a few of those. Huh. I wonder how big that is. It's 117 pages. Huh. Kinda interesting. Not the kind of game I would expect to get like an official art book. Kinda interesting. Anyway, though, I'm kind of derailing. I think $40 is a fair price for the game. So, obviously, if you look properly for the PS4, you could probably find a good deal. But on Switch taxes, you know how it is. Those evil damn Switch taxes, always demanding more money out of you. But yeah, I recommend the game. I thought it was a very interesting idea. So now, with that, let's go ahead into spoilers. So what happens? What do you find out ultimately in your path of this game? What is the deep secret? Well, the deep secret is kind of weird. So in the destroyed town, there's one town that's destroyed, and there's a sealed door you can find now. If you do what you need to do to unlock the true path and everything, you'll get a unique quest from the princess telling you can revive yourself. You can get revived. She figured out a way to actually revive, like forever revive, not 5 days and you die revive. So basically you go on one big quest on collecting all the items she requests, and you gotta go and deal with some of the RNG events of getting all those items and giving them to her. And you'll basically be summoned to go to that sealed room, and what you'll find is some interesting crazy shit that both goes into the religion of the world, let alone maybe stalking yandere creep vibes. So basically this sexy goth demon girl lady like basically loves the hero and like gave up everything in demon kind to like try and be with you, and like basically she was trying to use the princess to get with you. It's like kinda really creepy stalker vibes in a way. But anyway, basically you'll get a big scene, well, if you properly answer the correct answer, because it kinda has the Dragon Lord, come and join me, by my side kind of moment. But you can obviously reject it, which will trigger the final wheel boss. This will actually trigger basically a resurrection moment where you get all your power back, so you're actually useful, and whatever 3 characters you got with you, like, you'll all go through the combat. Now, it's a 2-phase fight, where you'll have a fight with the hero and a mysterious new character who I'm not going to spoil, because that way you still have something you gotta go find out on your own. But you got that, and then the fight that's with your full party in that, and then you can finally be all happy ever after. Oh, when you find out that the angel is your former love interest, you couldn't remember that. That kind of didn't really solve itself, because it's still kind of left vague, as the characters don't really remember, so you just kind of assume. I mean, yeah, it's likely, but neither party really's like 100% sure, so it's kind of wibby-wobbly-ish, but ultimately, things get resolved. You go to heaven and peace and everything with your beloved, and the world is left a happy place, with hopefully most things solved. But hopefully you didn't get everyone knocked up, because I mean, that's probably weird going to heaven with your girlfriend and be like, hopefully all my children, my other girlfriends on earth do it, but no, I'm just kidding. I don't even know if you can do that. Don't try that. Don't try that at home, kids. Anyway. Fun little game, I think. It's an interesting idea, definitely unique in my opinion. I can't say I can think of anything too close to the idea of this game. So, I definitely recommend it. Should check it out. Anyway, that is my thoughts on The Hero Must Die Again. Very interesting idea, definitely recommend. If you have anything you'd like to ask, and you feel like... if you got anything you want to ask, feel free to leave a comment down below. If you feel like you learned anything interesting, please feel free to leave a like, and if you feel like you learned nothing at all, feel free to leave a dislike, feel free. Until next time, thank you for joining for this bizarro game. Who's the best waifu? Let's argue about it. Anyway, till next time, thank you for joining me here at the Proving Grounds. Make sure you don't get resurrected and have all your stats going down. Stay tip-top shape, and go out there and slay the evil in the world.